Detroit, 1948. The automobile production capital of the world, America on the rise, and the time and place where Fred Jonske began his journey. His father, Ferdinand, spent his entire career at the J.L. Hudson department store downtown, which taught Fred the importance of loyalty and commitment to work and family. As a young girl, his mother, Esther, had to help her family at home and on the farm and was not able to complete high school.
Throughout her life, you could tell that it bothered her immensely. In raising us, my two brothers and sisters, and me, she was a force in making sure that we did the best we could in school.
And the thing I love most was when he says, I gave up trying to convince her that I couldn't get anything higher than straight A's. It takes me right back to my experience with my own mother and where it has led us to for greatness in our lives.
When they traveled, they spent time on the family farm in northern Michigan. Fred saw firsthand the work ethic of his grandparents.
My grandparents got up before the sun came up and basically worked until almost dusk. It taught me that working hard is actually a good thing because the satisfaction of doing something to help was meaningful to me.
I've always said there are two kinds of people in the world, miners and farmers. Miners only take out. Farmers take out but also put back. And Fred is the consummate farmer.
Fred excelled in high school in math, history, and science, and even considered a career with NASA.
At that time, the space program captivated the country and certainly me. I remember in school they would pipe in through the intercom the actual liftoffs of the missions.
Liftoff.
No matter what you were doing, you listened.
He had many interests, played baseball and basketball, and remembers fondly his involvement in student government.
I learned early on the joy of working together as a team, whether it was in sports or in activities like student government. The fun of achieving a result together with others was something that I carried over ultimately in my business career.
He needed to stay close to home, so he chose the best school around, the University of Michigan. The social unrest in Detroit and the political activism on campus made a meaningful impression on him.
I remember driving through Detroit when it was in flames from the rioting in the summer of 1967. This was part of the turbulent times of those years when I was at college.
As a dormitory advisor, he remembers going to the sheriff's office on numerous occasions to bail out his residents.
Typically, these students went into jail with long hair, and while the police couldn't retain the people, what they loved to do was to give them a haircut.
While at UM, Fred found himself most interested in applied mathematics. UM was one of the top schools for actuarial science, and Fred received his BA and then his master's degree in 1971. He received many offers, but held fast to his Midwestern roots and landed in the actuarial department at Allstate in Northbrook, Illinois.
Having worked with and around talented actuaries throughout my entire career, there are certain characteristics, I think, that really motivates people to that profession.
Yeah, it's unusual to have an actuary with personality, so Fred can actually look you in the eye and have a conversation.
Well, Fred certainly has an actuary's methodical approach. He is data-driven. When he's solving problems, he likes to map things out in a very logical sequence. It kind of takes the emotions out of hard issues.
I guess the stereotype of an actuary is that they only care about the numbers, and certainly the numbers are important, but Fred was way beyond the numbers. He cared about people, he cared about the industry, he cared about professionalism, he cared about the American college, which is part of the glue of all those other things. Insurance is nothing more than a promise, and so the actuaries are the guardian of that promise.
Fred was at Allstate for 25 years. Initially, he focused on financial reporting, becoming a life insurance company tax expert, and finally product development and marketing. But his greatest success during his long career at Allstate was early on, back in 1971, when he first met Nancy in the actuarial department.
Nancy and I got married in 1973, and then in '78 we had our first child, Kurt. 3 years later, we had our second, Carl. And then 3 years after that, we had our third, Dirk.
Fred is one of those individuals who somehow manages to balance beautifully a keen focus on business that he loves with his balance and focus on dear friends and, of course, family first.
In the early 80s, he was asked to lead two of Allstate's recent acquisitions as president and COO of Lincoln Benefit Life and Surety Life.
It was a fantastic experience for me because Allstate allowed me great freedom to essentially reinvent both companies. Together, with a great team, we developed a plan and had great success and fun in executing it.
I co-founded M Financial. We were looking for someone who could take us to the next level. Our search committee came back to us and said, the right guy is Fred Jonske.
In 1996, I was given an opportunity to go to M Financial. For me to actually leave the team at Lincoln Benefit and Allstate was exceedingly difficult.
Well, I think the transition that Fred had was from being involved in a Fortune 500 company to running an emerging independent distribution organization. And I think bringing some of the discipline from a large company and process and insights was critical in M's evolution.
Obviously, he was hugely successful as CEO of the M Group, but I also think he was a model trustee.
He was always very, very honored that he was on the board of the American College, that they would feel his actions and his involvement would be for the betterment of the college.
Quiet competence. He is serious, he comes prepared, he's ready to have the discussion, and he's not afraid to have the discussion.
After the great crash in 2009, there were folks that were feeling pressure to make some tactical changes. Fred was really an ally for holding the line, staying patient, practicing what we preached as an institution, which was the long-term benefits of staying in the market, and that was really helpful.
When the college was truly tested, Fred always came forward as the very strong leader that he is.
A lot of the evolution of the college's risk management programs and protocols were all being led by Fred, and you could tell that he had a lot of great input to the college.
Recently, there's been some challenges with how we work with the centers at the college. Fred volunteered and pulled together a thoughtful way of how we should look at the centers, how we should coordinate with them.
And then he was actually helping us make sure that the board and the donors felt good about what we were doing. That was really, really key for us.
Look, I think at the end of the day, if you said what makes Fred Fred and why is he so good at what he does, he clearly had the finest education anyone could ever have. You know, he's a University of Michigan graduate.
Fred talks to me all the time about this thing called the Wolverine, and I actually thought it was the movie Wolverine.
Ooh, shiny.
Yes, I'm aware that he is a Michigan alum. I'm an Illinois alum. We have agreed not to talk about it.
We have a number of people at M who are University of Michigan graduates, and they all drank the Kool-Aid. And I mean, they're like rabid.
He's a passionate fan, as am I, and that's been a source of great bonding, occasional joy,
Touchdown, Michigan!
And a fair amount of frustration.
One thing I can tell you about Fred is if you want to know where to find a good Pinot Noir, he is your man.
Fred's also the man who keeps on giving to the profession through a new company, Insurex, which he co-founded with a team of close partners who are friends of the college.
He's got it all. He's got a great sense of humor, has been a great leader, and was always willing to put everybody else first.
Fred is most deserving of the Huebner Gold Medal Award because he exemplifies all the greatness of what Dr. Huebner was thinking about. He's so committed to the college, he's so committed to our mission, and he wants to do whatever is necessary to make sure we're successful. That's Fred Jonske.
Fred is just exactly how you would describe a gold medal winner. Fred is the real deal. He is committed to the industry. He is a man of incredible integrity and really embodies everything that's great about this institution.
Congratulations and gratitude to Fred Jonske, the 2019 Huebner Gold Medal recipient.